Good morning, children. This is Life Processes Part 2. In Part 1, you have done autotrophic nutrition. Under life processes, we are doing nutrition. So, autotrophic has been completed. In autotrophic, plants form food by photosynthesis. So, in part 1, we have studied that for photosynthesis, sunlight, 4 essential things are there: sunlight, then chlorophyll, then carbon dioxide, and then water. So, these are 4 essentials by which photosynthesis can take place in plant. So, today we will do some experiments to demonstrate that sunlight, chlorophyll and carbon dioxide are essential for photosynthesis. Experiment 1, where we will do that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll or green pigment, it is essential for photosynthesis. What we do, we take a potted plant, and this plant, potted plant has taken, and this plant must have leaves which are variegated. Variegated means the complete leaf is not green. Suppose this part is green and some parts they are not green, they may be white, they may be pale yellow, or they may even orange or red. So, other than green, some parts may be there in a leaf which are not green. So, these leaves, they are known as variegated leaves. Suppose this part is not green. These variegated leaves we find mostly in crotons, many plants, some even money plants. They are having money plants, then coleus, then many plants, ficus, rubber plant. Many plants are there which are having these variegated leaves. So, first of all, what we do, we keep this potted plants with variegated leaves for 3-4 days in dark, in a dark place. What will happen when this is put in dark? Whole of the food which is there inside the plant, it is being used up by the plant, and no new carbohydrates can be formed as there is no sunlight. So, now the plant, it is known as de-starched. Now, this de-starched plant is taken out from the dark and kept in sun for at least 5-6 hours. In 5-6 hours, photosynthesis will take place and new carbohydrates will be formed in the green leaves of the plant. After this, we pluck one of the leaves and it is being treated to see whether starch is present in the leaf and where it is present. So, one of the leaves, it is being taken and it is processed for looking for starch. First point is boil the leaf in water. First, leaf is boiled in water, all the chlorophyll will come in water. Second, boil the leaf in alcohol. In alcohol, the leaf is boiled, but alcohol is not heated directly. In a double bath, we put the alcohol like this. This is one container having water and a second beaker having alcohol is put. It is known as double bath. So, leaf is boiled now in alcohol. After it, it is washed with plain water and then it is put in potassium iodide solution or iodine solution. It is put in iodine solution. This is iodine and this is the leaf. It is put in iodine solution. What happened when it is put in iodine solution? The area which are having carbohydrates or sugar or starch, it becomes blue black, and the areas which are not having starch, they will be transparent. Suppose this is the leaf, then all this area which was green having chlorophyll, it will become blue black by iodine solution, and these area which are not having chlorophyll, they will remain as such or transparent. This shows that the area that is chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. So by this experiment, it is proved that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Now we will do the experiment which demonstrate that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. For this, we take 2 potted plants and again we de-starch these plants by keeping them in dark, and then again they are put in sun for 5-6 days. Both are same plants, but when they are put in sun, they are covered by these glass bell jars. In one of the plant, we put potassium hydroxide. This potassium hydroxide, it absorbs carbon dioxide of the bell jar. When they are put in sun for 5-6 hours, what happened? And after 5-6 hours, we plug one leaf from this and one leaf from this, and both the leaves, they are tested for starch as in the first experiment. What you will see that in this plant, carbohydrates are formed because there is carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of the bell jar. But in this plant, as the carbon dioxide is being taken up by KOH, it is being absorbed by potassium hydroxide. No photosynthesis takes place or no starch are formed in the leaves of this plant. This shows that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Likewise, you can do other experiment to show the essentiality of sun or solar light. So these are the experiments which are there to show that these 4 are essential for photosynthesis. With this, autotrophic nutrition is being finished. Now we will come to the next mode of nutrition, and that is heterotrophic. In part 1, we have discussed what is heterotrophic nutrition, and we will discuss this heterotrophic nutrition into amoeba and in human being. So this is nutrition in amoeba. All of you know amoeba is a single-celled organism, and this is the plasma membrane of the surface, nucleus and cytoplasm. Amoeba can produce these finger-like projections known as pseudopodia. All of you know this. When some food particle is present near the amoeba cell, it senses this food particle, and these finger-like projections, they grow from the surface or the plasma membrane of amoeba. It encircles the food particles. Both the pseudopodia, they fuses, and a food vacuole is formed. This is the food vacuole, and the food particle is inside this food vacuole, and it is taken up inside the cytoplasm of the amoeba. Later on, what happened? Some enzymes are being secreted in this food vacuole, and this food particles is digested. The complex forms, they are turned into simple forms, and this food now is absorbed by the cytoplasm of the amoeba, and the particles which are not digested, they again come to the surface and they are being thrown away from the cell of the amoeba. So this is how nutrition takes place in amoeba. There is a special name for this type of nutrition in amoeba. It is known as endocytosis. Endo means inside. So inside the cell, the food particle is going. This phenomena is known as endocytosis. It is divided into two: phagocytosis and pinocytosis. Phagocytosis and pinocytosis. Phago means solid food particles are taken. It is a type of endocytosis, and pino means liquids. They are being taken by the amoeba, and the name is endocytosis. So it is a simple one, nutrition in amoeba. Now the main nutrition in human being or in us. So under nutrition in human being, we will study the digestive system in human beings, because we take food from mouth and it comes, it is being discarded through the anus. So this complete tract is known as digestive system of human being, and it is nutrition in human being. So what happened first? This is the diagram of digestive system. This is complete. This is a canal or gut. It is known as gut, and it is known as alimentary canal. Alimentary is ALI, not ELE. It is alimentary canal. So from mouth up to the anus, this canal is known as alimentary canal, and food is taken. This is mouth, this is tongue. Food is taken by the mouth, and this process is known as ingestion. Ingestion means taking of food. So food is taken from the mouth, and this is known as, the inner cavity is known as buccal cavity, where teeth are present, tongue is present, and this food, it is being crushed by the teeth, and from salivary glands are present in the buccal cavity. From these salivary glands, saliva comes out, and muscular tongue, it mixes this saliva in the food, and food is crushed into smaller particles. Now what happened next? The carbohydrates which are present in the food, they are now turned to simple sugar by the action of saliva. Why? Because in saliva, one enzyme known as salivary amylase. Salivary amylase is present, which turns the carbohydrate of the food into simple sugar. That's why if we chew our food for a longer time, we feel as it sweet, because the carbohydrates, they are converted into sugar. From mouth, this food directly comes to stomach. This is stomach. And in between mouth and stomach, a long tube is present. This tube is known as esophagus or food pipe. How the food from mouth comes to the stomach? There is a movement known as peristaltic movement. What is this peristaltic movement? It is the rhythmic contraction and expansion of muscles which are present in the wall of this alimentary canal. In the complete alimentary canal, this rhythmic movement takes place, and under this effect, from esophagus, the food comes into stomach. Now, stomach is bag-like, and when the food comes in the stomach, it enlarges somewhat. In the stomach, secretions from liver, this is liver, it comes in the stomach, and secretions no, these secretions come into the intestine. So in stomach, the stomach wall, it is having certain glands known as gastric glands. These gastric glands are present in the stomach, wall of stomach. These gastric glands secrete a juice known as gastric juice. It has three components. One is mucus, second is hydrochloric acid, dilute hydrochloric acid, and third is an enzyme, pepsin. So these three components are present in the gastric juice, which is being supplied by gastric gland in the stomach. So what does these three do? Mucus, it coat the lining of the stomach so that it may not be hurt by hydrochloric acid. So mucus form a protective layer inside the stomach. Why hydrochloric acid is present? Because this enzyme pepsin, it works only in acidic medium. This produces acidic medium so that pepsin can work. It is an enzyme. What does it do? It converts the proteins into peptones. The proteins are digested half. First, with the help of pepsin, they are converted to peptones. So this is the function of these three components of gastric juice which takes place in stomach. After stomach, the food slowly it comes to the small intestine. This is small intestine. This is also the part of intestine. So, and this is G-shaped. It is known as duodenum. Duodenum. The initial part, which is G-shaped, it is known as duodenum. So this stomach, it opens in a long thin tube known as small intestine. It is about 9 meter long in human beings, or maybe more than that, about 6-7 meter long and thin tube. Why it is so long? Because the digested food is to be absorbed in intestine with the help of these finger-like projections on the wall of the inner wall of the intestine, and these finger-like projections, they are known as villi. Villi is plural, villus is singular. So in the wall, these villi are present, and once the food is digested and it turns into small particles, these are being absorbed by these villi, because these villi, they are having many network of blood vessels. So food is directly absorbed in the blood vessels and then it reaches to each and every cell of body. So what happens when food comes to this duodenum? In this duodenum, one tube from the liver is reaching, this red one, and one tube from this pancreas. This purple color leaf-like structure is pancreas. So juices from liver and pancreas, they come to this duodenum or small intestine, and they have their different digestive juices. We will take one by one. First we will take the liver. In liver, bile is produced. Bile is secreted from the liver, and later it is stored in gallbladder. This bag-like structure is gallbladder. Bile which is produced in liver, it is stored in this gallbladder, and from gallbladder, a duct, it comes to the small intestine, and bile comes to the intestine from this liver. This is one thing. Now what this bile does? Bile turns the medium alkaline. You know, in stomach, the medium is acidic due to HCl, but when it comes to small intestine, now it needs alkaline medium. So bile is alkaline in nature. So now the medium of the system, it becomes alkaline. This is the function of bile. This is one function of bile. Function of bile is first alkaline medium, and second it emulsify the big fat molecules into small fat globules. So fat molecules are emulsified into small fat globules so that the enzyme may work on these fat globules more efficiently. So these are the two functions of bile. One is turns the medium alkaline, and second emulsification of fat. The big fat molecules, they turn into small fat globules. This is the function of bile from liver. One digestive juice, it comes from pancreas. All of you know this pancreas is a endocrine as well as exocrine gland. When it is endocrine, it secretes insulin for digestion of sugar in diabetic, and if it is less, then the person is diabetic. And as an exocrine gland, pancreas, it secretes a juice known as pancreatic juice. And this pancreatic juice, by a small duct, it also comes into small intestine. This pancreatic juice, this is pancreatic juice or pancreatic secretion. It has two enzymes. One is known as trypsin and other is known as lipase. These two enzymes, they can work only in alkaline medium. That's why this bile turn the medium alkaline, so that these two enzymes from pancreas, they can work. They can digest the food. Now what is the function of these two enzymes? These trypsin, it digests proteins, and this lipase, it digests fat. So the small fat globules which are being emulsified by bile, they are being acted upon by lipase, and this fat is converted into glycerol and fatty acids. These are the ultimate digestion of fat, and proteins, they are converted into amino acids. So trypsin act on proteins and lipase act on fat globules. So this is the function of two enzymes which come from the pancreas and the small intestines. So now most of the food, it is being digested. It comes to the larger part of the small intestine, which is in the form of a coiled duct, very long, about 6 to 9 meter long. And now the food, it travels slowly in the intestines. This is the ultimate place for digestion of all the nutrients of food. Carbohydrates are digested. Some intestinal juices are also being secreted by the wall of intestines, and now carbohydrate is digested, proteins are digested, fat is digested, all is digested in intestine, and now the finer particles, they are being absorbed by the villi which are present in intestine. Now the undigested food, which is very liquidy, having much water, it comes to the large intestine known as colon. The length of this colon is about 1.5 meter in human beings. So why it is known as big intestine? Because the diameter is bigger than the small intestine. So now the food, it comes to the colon or big intestine. water is absorbed. It is also having some villi-like structure. Water is absorbed in the big intestine, and rest of the food which is undigested and having mostly roughage, it comes out through the rectum. This is rectum, and through the anus it is thrown away from the body. There is a sphincter present, a valve-like thing, sphincter is present near the anus, and food is in the form of waste material or feces. It come out from the body of the human being. One sphincter is also present in between the stomach and small intestine also. So this is appendix is also present on one side, which is now it is of no use for human being. It is a rudimentary structure in human beings. So this is all about, this is diaphragm, below this diaphragm, stomach and all this is present. So this is complete digestive system of human beings. You should make a table in a tabular form. You should write what are the enzymes, how they are secreted. You should make in your notebooks a table. So you have to make 6 or 7 columns. Right here, digestive system, and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. In first column, you write digestive organ. Write in your notebooks, in the first column, write digestive organ. In second, site of secretion. Site of secretion. In the third, name of secretion. In fourth, name of secretion. In the fourth, you write secretion or enzyme. Enzyme present in the secretion. Then write substrate. Then write product. And in the end, you write some remark. So in a tabular form, you will write the complete digestive system. For example, first digestive organ is mouth. Site of secretion is buccal cavity. Name of the secretion is saliva. Site is buccal cavity and salivary glands. You can also write salivary glands, then saliva. Enzyme is salivary amylase. Substrate is carbohydrate. Product is sugar. So this is, no remark is to be, or you can write here churned food. This is how you will write. In second, you will write esophagus. Nothing has to be written. Just write here peristaltic movement. Just write peristaltic movement. Now, third, you write stomach. Under stomach, the side of the secretion is wall of stomach. Name of the juice is gastric juice, secretion, 3 components. You will write all the 3 components, and for first component, the substrate is wall of stomach. It is not a substrate line like mucus. First you write mucus, it lines the wall of stomach, then HCl, form the medium acidic, and third is pepsin. In this way, you completely, up to the large intestine, you make a complete table, tabular form. You write all the secretions, all the enzymes, all the products, and all the substrate. 7, you have to make 7 columns: digestive organs, site, name of secretion, enzyme, substrate, product, and if any remark has to be given. Like in stomach, all the 3 you have to write under 3 lines, A, B, and C. Like this also, you have to complete the table by yourself. And this is how digestive system is completed in human being. After this, what is there? So, with this, digestive system is completed, and in the next lecture, part 3, life processes, part 3, we will take the second life process, and that is respiration. So, this is all. Thank you.